Hello everybody. As you know, France has been accused on several occasions of interfering in the internal political affairs of its former colonies, by supporting or overthrowing certain leaders. After the decolonization of many African countries in the 1960s, France sought to maintain close ties with its former colonies through what is known as France-Afrique. Many African countries have signed military and defense cooperation agreements with France, allowing the latter to maintain a military presence and intervene in certain conflicts. For information, some African countries have cancelled a large part of these agreements, such as Mali, Chad, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Niger and Gabon. In 2022, Mali cancelled 8 of the 11 agreements concluded in 1959. That being said, here are now the 11 secret agreements signed between France and Black African countries. Number 1. The colonial debt for reimbursement of the profits of colonization. Newly independent states must reimburse the cost of infrastructure built by France during colonization. Number 2. Automatic confiscation of national financial reserves. African countries must deposit their financial reserves with the Banque de France. Thus, France has guarded the financial reserves of 14 African countries since 1961: Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Congo-Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea and Gabon. France imposes a cap on the amount of money countries can borrow from their own reserves. The ceiling is set at 20% of their public revenues from the previous year. If countries need to borrow more than 20% of their own money, France has a veto. According to former French President Jacques Chirac, a large part of the money of French banks comes precisely from the exploitation of the African continent.
It is because a large part of the money that is in our wallet comes precisely from the exploitation, for centuries, of Africa. Not only, but a lot comes from the exploitation of Africa.
Number 3. The right of first refusal on any raw or natural resources discovered in the country. France has the first right to purchase the natural resources of the land of its former colonies. Number 4. Priority to French interests and companies in public contracts and public calls for tenders. French companies have priority in the award of public contracts. Although African countries have the opportunity to get better value for money elsewhere. As a result, in most former French colonies, French expatriates have all economic power over the countries. In Ivory Coast, for example, French companies control all major public services such as water, electricity, telephone, transport, ports and major banks. It is the same in commerce, construction and agriculture. According to a French MP, France steals €325 million from the Ivory Coast every year. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel. We continue. Number 5. Exclusive right to supply military equipment and train military officers of the colonies. The Africans must send their senior officers for training in France. Number 6. The right for France to deploy troops and intervene militarily in the country to defend its interests. Number 7. The obligation to make French the official language of the country and the language of education. Number 8. The obligation to use the CFA franc. This system is even criticized by the European Union. However, France is not ready to put an end to this economic system inherited from colonization, which retains around $500 billion from Africa's coffers in its treasury. Number 9. The obligation to send to France an annual balance sheet and a status report of reserves. Number 10. Renounce any military alliance with other countries, unless authorized by France. The majority of countries only have military alliances with their former colonists. It's funny, but you can't do better. France forbade them from any other military alliance. Number 11. The obligation to ally with France in the event of war or global crisis. This is the end of the video. Take care of yourself and see you soon.